We get too reliant on YouTube. That's why we have prisonplanet.tv, and it's all streaming higher quality there, but that's just my videos. We have the video of Dennis Leary, some 9/11 truthers that heard Daniel and others talking about the upcoming episodes. They come up and ask him politely. He goes, how do you know that? Who are you? Who are you with? That has them thrown out. We can't play it. YouTube is down. Not my videos. YouTube itself has been having trouble the last few days, and it's completely down right now. That is the videos. But if they come up in the next 30 minutes, we'll play a clip of that, and we'll play some clips of Daniel Sunjata on the show Rescue Me. Daniel, I don't want to stir up stuff with you and Dennis Leary. You're a classy guy, and you're going back for another season with him. But, I'm glad that he was still part of the show, even though it had the 9/11 truth stuff in it. But I'm surprised watching this response from him, very aggressive, to nice people just asking questions at a book signing, that he was even part of something that brought up 9/11 truth.
Yeah, I don't know. Dennis gets approached by a lot of people, and I think that I'm sure he's well aware of the controversial nature of the subject matter, so to speak, that it was going to provoke, probably anticipating that it would provoke an emotional response from both sides of the fence. And maybe he just was wary of being ambushed. He might not have known with cameras on you and somebody's asking you a question if he was being confronted or if he was just asking to, being tacitly asked for his opinion.
He might have thought it was TMZ or something.
You never know. You never know what went through his mind. Again, I can only give Dennis, credit, and Peter Tolan credit, and FX credit for allowing the subject matter on the show and for treating it with a relative amount of fairness. I don't think at the end of it that Franco, my character, was left wearing a dunce cap. I think that they just kind of, they showed all the different emotional responses from the guys in the house to Sheila, the character named Sheila, who expresses her, dissatisfaction with my opinion, claiming that Franco is turning her husband's death into a hobby. But in general, I think they just kind of let the audience decide for themselves, and that's laudable.
Well, it certainly is. For those that haven't seen the show Rescue Me, break down what was discussed in that episode.
Well, it was a subplot that stretched over about 5 episodes.
Yeah.
And the way it started was a French journalist comes to the firehouse, and she wants to interview the guys about their experiences on 9/11 and their feelings about the day. And so, in a series of vignettes, with her interviewing each of us individually. When she gets to my character, of course, I launch into this 2-minute monologue about how 9/11 was an inside job and the reasons why. And then over the course of subsequent episodes, you see the responses from different characters in the firehouse. Some of them are violent. I almost get into a physical confrontation with one character, Michael Lombardi's character, the probie, in the firehouse kitchen. And then we have kind of a reconciliation scene later on where he explains to me why he felt the way he felt. So, they just allowed a lot of different perspectives to be communicated. It would have been nice to have one character on the show be like, yeah, I agree with Franco. But, again, just the fact that they allowed me.
Yeah, let me say it's a distortion, but again, even allowing it on, though, and allowing one view is better than most, so I'm not trying to just attack here. But I've been to New York, and many of the firefighters know it's an inside job. They come up and thank us, shake our hands. In fact, I want to ask you about that. But then there's all the videos of firefighters going, it was like it was a foundry, lava flowing, things were melting. The police saying, get back, they're going to blow up Building 7. So can you speak to that? You live in New York, you know these people, you're around firefighters, you're the star of a show about firefighters. What percentage would you say of them will tell you, oh, yeah, Daniel, I agree with you?
Well, I don't know I could not hazard a guess at the percentage of the total population of the FDNY because I don't know them all. But I'll say out of the firefighters that I know, I'd say about 60% of them are leaning towards us, our take on things, that it was an inside job, that something's fishy, that we need to have a new investigation. Maybe 20% of the remaining 40 are undecided, and then maybe 20% are violently opposed to the idea, but I think more from the perspective of, just not being able to fathom the depth of that kind of betrayal. So it's, but in general, I know lots of firefighters that feel exactly the way you feel, that feel exactly the way I feel. So I don't really know what to say about that, but.
Well, that's when talking to Bill Doyle 3 years ago, he said about half or more the families believe it's an inside job, and then he does. He lost his son, Joey.
Mm-hmm.
I've since talked to some of those groups 3 years later. They say, oh, it's basically 80% of us now. And but the media keeps this distortion going. The families don't like 9/11 truth. The families are upset with us when conservatively more than half agree with us.
Right. I mean, you only have to look at it, at a couple documentaries or do a couple searches on YouTube when it's working, and you can see the dissatisfaction of the families who were attending the 9/11 Commission hearings. I mean, how many times were they interrupted by the victims' family members themselves, screaming and yelling in anger and frustration because their questions were not only not being answered, but were being completely sidestepped. I mean, it's clear and obvious that when somebody says you're insulting the memories of those who died and you're causing pain to the victims' families by asking for the truth, that's a logical fallacy. That is clearly, it's just clearly wrong. It's stupid.
Yeah, they're using the grief of the families and the dead as a shield against us for asking real questions.
Yeah,
so they're abusing the dead.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Not only are they disrespecting the dead, they are supporting those who, still to this day, have gotten away with mass murder. So they should really think twice about using that excuse to dismiss what we have to say.
And these killers are still on the loose as well and planning to stage more events. Make no mistake. But the fact that we've been exposing them kind of takes that false flag tool away. What did you think when New Yorker magazine, Cy Hirsch, and then even Keith Olbermann came out and admitted that Dick Cheney was planning to stage terror attacks on our ships to blame it on Iran with U.S. patrol boats painted up like Iranians, and then they tried to have that staged event with fake radio chatter saying we blow you up in 1 minute, and I said that was staged at the time. Then it came out it was staged, and then it comes out they ordered the torture. I mean, these really are war criminals. These really are bad guys. I mean, this is on record. They've staged so much terror in the past. How can people not understand that it's normal to point the finger at them? Not just because of their history or the evidence, but because of the motive.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, only they stood to gain from all of these atrocities. It's key bono. It's who has benefited. In the case of 9/11, it certainly wasn't the 19 people who supposedly died in carrying out the attack. It certainly hasn't been Osama bin Laden. But arguably Halliburton has certainly benefited. Dick Cheney has certainly benefited. Other military contractors, energy corporations. I mean, the list goes on. If you follow the money, it's clear who has benefited. And given the fact that they announced their agenda before the day, and then that agenda has been prosecuted every day since, and they've been invoking 9/11 and its victims as justification for everything that they've done here and everything that we've been doing abroad. I mean, it's quite clear. I mean, I don't understand where this bottomless well of benefit of the doubt, where this comes from, and when does it finally run out? I mean, a government that lies about air quality and exposes people to toxic dust intentionally in order to reopen Wall Street, a government that legalizes torture, that manufactures legal opinions in order to justify circumventing the Constitution so that they can torture people, a government that illegally wiretaps. And look, on Olbermann, you had Russell Tice go on there about 3 months ago and tell Olbermann to his face that the NSA was specifically collecting information on intellectuals and journalists. And you see Olbermann's face go white there for a second.
And Congress.
I mean, like, what more? I mean, with all of these damning, realities, where is I don't understand when is the wall of cognitive dissonance finally going to break and people just accept the fact, or at least entertain the very serious possibility and look at the evidence of 9/11 being an inside job and all these other things that you're talking about. I mean, and in this day and time, there's just so much going on, Alex. My head swirls. I sometimes for a couple weeks, I literally just have to totally tune out because I feel like it's just too much. I can't, continue with my day. I can't continue just living life normally because I'm so caught up in all these tectonic events that seem to just come one right after the other. It's the economy. It's pipe bombs being detonated in New Jersey. It's, the massacre at the Jewish Museum, or this unfortunate shooting of the security guard at the Jewish Museum. Glenn Beck shooting his mouth off and trying to make these links between 9/11 truth and this psycho who committed this crazy act the other day. I mean, it's just so much, and it's endless. It's just endless.
And it's always right on time. This Brune guy, Von Brune, was in federal custody for 6 years, and it has classic Southern Poverty Law Center fingerprints, not exactly ADL. I mean, it was Southern Poverty Law Center and declassified FBI documents running the Elohim City white supremacist compound that McVeigh came out of. And it's the same with all these, quote, black Muslim groups that turn out to be black Christian street kids who they pay money to just dress in camo, and they give them a warehouse. And then even mainstream news has to admit time and time again that it's totally made up.
Wow.
Or fake Klan groups in Dallas. I mean, led by the FBI, they're going to blow things up.